Well, this morning we're going to interrupt our normally scheduled broadcast of Matthew chapter 3 to do something a little bit special. As we studied Matthew chapter 2 last week, remember the Magi came from far away, we think the Parthian Empire, to do honor to the one born the King of the Jews. And I mentioned that there is one thing that every Gentile owes every Jew in the world, and that is a sincere thank you for being Jewish, because the Jewish people has brought light, enlightenment, beauty to the rest of earth to a degree that no other people has. And the fact that the Jewish people are so soundly and roundly hated upon planet Earth testifies to our ancient enemies' work upon this planet. As a matter of course, it is my desire as a pastor, as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, to go as often as I can to the Holy Land and bring with me as many Christians as I'm able so that I might introduce people to the Holy Land. And I got word less than 2 weeks ago that a dear friend of mine was going to be in town. His name is GuyLeibovitz, and Guy was our tour guide on the last trip we took to Israel last year. And he's in town, and I wanted to have him come speak to my congregation. And so I would ask that you would give a warm Calvary Chapel Fallbrook welcome to my friend GuyLeibovitz. So, Guy, thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
It's great to have you, and it's all yours now, brother.
Thank you very much. Sorry for interrupting your Sunday. Actually, like you guys just presented this check over here, and I'm standing trying to convince you to come to Israel where other people need like the money more than us. So why to come to Israel from the beginning? Well, what's the point? I think that as you give, you get. You guys can go all over the world, give to others, but you deserve to get as well. And traveling the land, taking it to a different level. Seriously, it's like, I spoke with some friends outside. Well, I wanted to know like how different they are after coming back from Israel. And they said to me, you know what, the Bible is not the same. I'm living the Bible. And I completely agree. It's like living the Bible in 5 different dimensions. Because traveling in Israel, you can feel, you can see, feel touch as well. You can smell, you can breathe, you can taste. It's all so different. That's the map of the Middle East. All of the different colors. The media wants you to think that those are the bad guys. The good guys are the red color in the center, and that's us. But our neighbors are not so bad as they want you to think. Some of them are bad people. Most of them are nice people. They're just lost. They lost their way, and I wish we could help them. We're not hating them. Actually, we love them, being our neighbors. Up there in the center, that's the state of Israel, and it's a completely different state. I have to share a story over here. When I came to the United States this time, I took the train from New Jersey, Newark, to Trenton Station. And I'm looking out of the train, and there is like liquor store, a store that something was there before but it's closed, another liquor store, a church. Liquor store, a store that someone sold something over in the past, it's closed, and a church. And then I went to the bathrooms in the Trenton Station, and while me taking care of business, someone selling drugs outside. And I'm asking myself, like, what's happened to the world? And suddenly it struck me. Like, such a dark time. And those churches over there just spreading the light to people. And the same as Israel. Such a bad area, such a bad neighborhood. But we do sending light outside, trying to bring those people into the light. So in some way we are doing the same as you. That's going to take us forward into the land just for you to understand Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Syria. I'm pretty sure that you guys have tons of questions about Syria. I don't have tons of answers, so I'm sorry. We'll see. If anyone have any questions about what's happening today in Israel, there is a place in the end of my presentation to ask questions. I cannot promise good answers, but I'll do my best. The state of Israel is such a small country. From top to bottom, it's only 350 miles, 450 miles. The width of the country, it's less than 75 miles. We're in the size of New Jersey, nicer than New Jersey. I just came from there, so I can tell you. But such a small country, but such a blessed country. You can find everything over there. A few weeks ago, I went to the desert, and I saw the stars over there. Immediately, it took me back to Abraham, his promise, to give this land to his descendants and make his descendants like the stars, the numbers of the stars. Look how beautiful it is. That's in the desert. It's like 10 minutes after sunset, where my ancestors and some of your ancestors went through. It's unreal. It's like so beautiful. Israel, it's a modern country. You guys, it's first world, okay? Many people watching news, and they can see like West Bank, camels, whatever, like people on the streets, completely different. It's a very advanced country. On the way over here, I just looked at the news, and apparently yesterday we found oil in Israel. And so that's a huge bless, another bless that the Lord blessed us, and that's great. Jerusalem in the center, Tel Aviv is the city with those towers, because Tel Aviv and Jerusalem are two opposites. Like Jerusalem, it's all about the spirit, and Tel Aviv, it's all about the flesh. Two completely different cities, but it's nice to see. But by the way, people that live in Jerusalem saying that the best part about Tel Aviv is the road that's taking you back to Jerusalem. So, but if you'll come, you'll see I'm going to come forward. Why not to come to the Holy Land? You guys, that's the United States, and that's Israel. There is a big ocean in between, and I'm pretty sure that none of you can swim from America to Israel. It's too far away. And guess what? From here, there is a direct flight, but it takes 16 hours. So that's a very good reason not to come. Am I right? You know, when George Washington and the others wanted to declare a state, originally they wanted to come to Israel. How do I know? Check it out. Let's fly to Israel. But someone says to them, there is no airplanes 350 years ago. So they just decided to declare a state. That's a very good reason why not to come to Israel, because you guys need to declare a state somewhere. So that's another excuse. And there is sharks in Israel. Yeah, be careful. In the desert, you'll find sharks. So there is many, many reasons why not to come. So why to come? I went to a church. Like, you guys won't step in this church. Like, it's like a Roman Catholic church. Probably you won't go in. And there is like, please respect the instructions. So you guys, if you come into Israel and you're bringing dogs with you, okay, do not come with leash, okay? You can send the dog free, but don't hold the dog. If you come into Israel with weapons, please don't shoot the swimmers, okay? It's very bad. And no blue bathing suit. Only different colors. And only if you're working out on your muscles, only then you can throw trash away. Look how strong is the guy over there. So that's how it starts. Coming back to the land. Isaiah 43 speaks about coming back to the land. You guys can hear it. You guys can read it for a second. I love the bottom where it says, I'm going to bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of earth. Actually, that's what happened, because it's not a secret. We came to this land back only 120 years ago. You guys, when someone says to me, you guys came to steal the land of those locals over there, I'm saying, yeah, we came back, not to steal, to claim. It's a big difference. Those people, I'm going to take it back, those people can stay over there, those people can live over there with us. I won't argue whose land this is, but I do stick to the Bible. Sometimes, you know, common sense. It's making no sense. Like, what are those bunch of Israelis doing in the middle of the Middle East? But the Bible is my guide and not my common sense. Many times my wife saying some things to me that I'll never understand. But, you know, it doesn't make any sense, but that's the truth. Like, I need to listen to her. Same with the Bible. Same with the Bible. Check what happened over there. And I'm going to bring them back from the east, and then from the west, and then from the north, and then from the south. I love Jewish history. And I went to check when exactly the people of Israel came from. So first of all, the Jews came from the east. It's happened in the middle of the 19th century. They came from Iraq. They came from Syria. They came from other countries in the east. And I have a picture. This picture, actually it's later on in time, but that's a Jew from Syria arriving to the port of Haifa during the British Mandate, so it's making it somewhere around the 40s, the beginning of the 40s. And then the European Jews came from Romania, from England, from France, from Germany, from every place, especially after the Holocaust, where those people came back more than 1.5 million. So beginning east, then the European Jews came from the west, exactly as the Bible says, and see what's happened in 1991. I'm going to run forward over here. 1991, Jeremiah 31 says that he's going to release the northern captivity. And those are the people in captivity that came from the northern country. Those are the Russian Jews that came to the land in 1991. Only 1.5 million again that came from Russia to Israel. Who would believe? The Bible speaks about that, and in your lifetime, in my lifetime, it happened. We can say that it's not God. We can say that something else as politics brought those people back. I'm saying that God brought them back because the Bible says so. A year later, in Ethiopia, a civil war. That's the south. Civil war, the Jews were in camps, and the locals wanted to go after them, and I'm not sure why. Actually, I know why, because they're Jews. The state of Israel, in one night, took big planes. The year was 1992. Took out the seats from those planes, about 50 airplanes, to Ethiopia at one night. They rescued more than 10,000 people, brought them back home to Israel. So those are the South captivity. And those are those Ethiopian Jews today, praying with the talit and everything. Great people, nice people. I won't say that Israel is the perfect place, and those guys are not suffering a little bit from discrimination, but we're improving. You know, we're a nation that just came back. We're learning how to be a nation. And none of us sit next to our brothers from far places. So we're just learning how to deal with the other people. The beginning, 1909. When you come into Israel, usually you'll begin your trip in Tel Aviv. This is Tel Aviv. That's how this land looked like. I went to the Riverside Church. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the Riverside Church. It's the biggest church in the United States. It's one building, 20-story building. And they invited me to talk and to present Israel and to talk about the Bible. When I'm coming into the church, a pamphlet and welcoming me, and it says over there, "Come to hear how the Jews stole the land from the Palestinians." Now, when it's the truth, I have no problems with that. When people lying, then I have problems with that. Like it says that in 1947, 84% of this country, Israel, were occupied by Muslims. No way. Okay, Mark Twain came 100 years before. He's describing an empty land. Went from Tiberias to Jerusalem, couldn't see even one single person. The Jews were there, a few Arabs were there, but those are not the numbers. This is the city of Tel Aviv. When they bought the land, this is the same day. They paid money to get back the land, and that's the same hill today. In less than 100 years. By the way, the building to the left, the tallest building, is the largest and greatest diamond exchange in the world. So there is diamonds in Israel. Ladies, come. Yeah. Probably the husbands right now. Where is my weapon? I'm going to shoot him. But yeah. So that's the beginning. That's Tel Aviv. That's another verse. For I will take you from among the nations, gather you out of all countries, and bring you into your own land. And I forgot to put it, but then it says the land of Israel. Anyone knows what's that? That could be your next lunch in Israel. Okay, this is the cow of Bashan. It wasn't part of my original presentation, but I came to meet with some people, and those people wanted to know which type of food you guys have in Israel. So let me tell you something. When you travel in Israel, you'll see more McDonald's than anywhere else in the world. Am I right, Pastor? Like it's every corner. So we have steaks, and we have like buffet in the hotel, and we have different types of food. Every issue, like I'm a vegetarian now, so that's the place for vegetarians. Fresh food, good food. I never met someone that had problems with the food in Israel, the opposite. The problems ending up in the airport when you're eating too much and you're paying for the overweight. So except of that, it's all good. So, check out this cow. That's for the vegetarians. Like, go dance with a cow. Tel Aviv, ruins shall be rebuilt. Again, the Bible says that we'll come back to those ruins. That comes from actually Ezekiel 36. The Bible says that we'll come back to those ruins, and we're going to build it back again. We're going to build a country. It's going to be so flourish, where people are going to study from us how to work the land. From Tel Aviv, we'll drive to our first city, and those are some ruins. Anyone remember from the trip? What's that? Aqueduct in Caesarea, you guys right. And that's the city of Caesarea. Just for you to know, Caesarea, it's a huge ruin. Today it's considered to be the most expensive place to live in Israel. So the ruins shall be rebuilt. That's amazing. From Caesarea, we'll drive up north, and that's Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel, that's the view from there. You guys, where I took the picture, and the place over there, it's a monastery. And according to the tradition, okay, Elijah stood over there when he fought against the prophet of Baal. So that's the view from there. Down there, that's the valley of Jezreel. Believe it or not, can you see the farm there? That's kind of so beautiful. This was the biggest swamp in the Middle East. When the Jews came back in 1882 and they wanted to buy land, so they wanted to settle down on the hills. And the local Arabs said to them, no, if you want to buy land, we'll sell you the swamp. So the Jews said, okay, if this is it, we will take it. They took it, drained the swamp, and with the bless of the Lord, that's how it's looked like today. Not only that we're fed in our country and we are fully self-sustained, we're fed in countries in Europe, like we're not feeding them, but we're exporting fruits and vegetables. Look how beautiful it is. It was a really, really good day. At the far corner of the picture, you can see like black shadow. This is the highest mountain in the Middle East, Mount Hermon. Under this mountain, by the way, that's Caesarea Philippi. And some people thinking that, some people guessing, I would say, that the transfiguration took place over there. Some other people saying, and I'm not sure because I wasn't there at the time, I'll show you in a second the picture. I'm going to come back to that. That's a picture from Armageddon, Megiddo. So the battle of all battles is going to take place down there in this beautiful, beautiful valley that fits the land of Israel today. So some other people thinking that the transfiguration took place. You guys can see like something that looked like a belly button in the center of the picture. This is Mount Tabor. So I'm not sure which is which. We'll need to wait for the Messiah. He's going to tell us exactly where everything happened. To the left of Mount Tabor, that's the city of Nazareth. So standing in Megiddo, you can see the city of Nazareth, and just open the Bible, read what's exactly going to happen over there, and just imagine in your mind someone riding a big white horse to your direction to rescue the world and bring some peace to this world and peace to our souls. So that's the battle. Like it's breathtaking, huh? Yeah, it's like amazing. From there, we'll drive to, there is some verses over here. Actually, that's amazing. Maybe I needed to put it before, but verse 44 in Jeremiah 32 says, men will buy fields for money, sign deeds, and so on. And you know, although God, Lord, gave Jacob and his descendants, that's us, the Jews, this land, somehow Jeremiah claims that we'll need to buy the land. We came back and we bought the land. There is a small company named the JNF, Jewish National Fund. And Jews and non-Jews usually donating money back then to this company. And they bought most of the land of Israel from the locals. And we do have receipts, 2 receipts, one in the Bible, one on paper. So no one can take it away from us anymore. Oops, I'm running too fast. Remember the place, Pastor? Yes. Luke chapter 4 says that the people of Nazareth took Jesus to a brow of a hill, and they wanted to push him from the cliff. There is only one problem around Nazareth, except of the city of Nazareth today, but that's a different story, because it's really, really occupied by Muslims today. Okay, they're barely having any Christians in Nazareth anymore, but maybe that's the story of the Middle East. It's really said that's the truth. There is only one cliff around Nazareth, and the Bible says that they wanted to push him from the cliff. And if there is only one cliff over there, and nothing changed in the past 2,000 years, that's the place. And that's the view. That's another part of the valley of Armageddon, the valley of Jezreel. If you'll take a look to the left over there, in the far corner, that's Mount Tabor. And behind Mount Tabor, you can see kind of a shadow of a mountain range. Those are the mountains of the Gilead. And that's the kingdom of Jordan. So basically, it's so close to Jordan, and behind it, that's Iraq. And behind it, that's Iran. And behind it, that's Afghanistan. And behind it, that's China. So basically, it's a straight plateau to this valley. In the other side, there is a kind of a road that goes up to Russia. And the Bible says that every army is going to end up in this valley. You guys, you can see it in your own eyes. Just need to be there and smell the smells and see the places with your own eyes. Okay, anyone knows what's that? Look how beautiful it is. That's the Sea of Galilee. And usually we end in the second day in the Sea of Galilee. So overnight in Israel, you guys, our bus is a first-class bus. I'm serious. That's how it's looked like. Everyone gets a comment. Yeah. And that's going to be your hotel. 1 million stars. Yeah. Yeah. When you're using the bathrooms over there, just don't do it against the wind. But probably that's 3,000 years ago. That's how people lived. Today it's completely different. It's like America. Just something for you to know. Admitting we're not so strong with service in Israel, and our hotels look like yours, but people in hotels in Israel thinking that you're supposed to serve them, and not the opposite. But just imagine how great it is to come to Israel and give back to the Israelis, to the Jews. You're giving to everyone all over the world. But now there is a huge opportunity for you to come back and give back to the Jewish nation. It's unreal. Like, I'm so jealous. I wish I could sit over there and give back to the Jewish nation. But I'm part of this nation. I'm supposed to serve you probably. I'm trying to do that. That's the hotel, one of the hotels in Jerusalem. That's the city of Jerusalem, the western side of the city. So it's a pretty modern place. From Tiberias, that's day number 3 or 4. I can't remember. Usually we will go to the synagogue in Capernaum. You guys, believe it or not in this building, but the building below this building, Jesus stood and teach on the Sabbath day. In other days, that's the same synagogue of Capernaum. A great place to be. Anyone of you ever stood in a place, thought to himself, wow, the Lord stood over here? Like, just imagine how much energy it is. Like, it's unreal. Mount of the Beatitudes and the Sea of Galilee. So Capernaum is to the left, Tabaga below, and that's the Sermon on the Mount. Now, you guys, do me a favor. When you come into Israel, if you'll come in the end of the summer, it's all dry and brown. This is the end of the winter. I took this picture in the beginning of April, and that's how it's looking in the beginning of April. When in your trip, it's the beginning of May. So it's some places, probably the Golan Heights and the Galilee, it's going to be green. The other places of the country would be dry and brown, but it's also beautiful. Actually, the Jewish religion, going around those seasons, every one of our holidays, it's like an harvest holiday. Passover, then Shavuot, that's the Pentecost, and the tabernacle. It's all about the agriculture, the seasons of the year. We were there before, so let's go forward. Till then, that's the sin of Israel, one of the cities. The Danites went up, and that's a place for us to visit. Those people sitting with their back to the Lebanese border. And the Lebanese border, from there, it's 10 minutes walk. And still, check out the pictures. No one have helmet, and no one have any bulletproof vests, because it's really safe. America, it's a huge place. And there is good places and better places and worse places. And there is many people on the roads. And the other side of the ocean, that's Russia and North Korea. And none of you waking up in the morning saying to himself, you know what, I'm going to take this helmet with me just in case, because the Russians are going to attack. And to my opinion, there is more chances having the Russians attacking America than the Syrians attacking Israel, but that's a different story. My point is, you're going out of your house every day without any fear, because you trust in the Lord. This is your day, that's your day. God, I'm yours, come and take me. But if this is not the day, nothing's going to happen to you. Those people sitting over there, because they trust in the Lord. The Lord comes to every one of you. We're living in such a unique time. I'm living in such a unique time. Who would believe that me, a Jew, would one day live in a state of the Jews in the Middle East, an amazing country? My great-grandparents wouldn't believe. They said every year, next year in Jerusalem. Actually, 3 times a day. But they never meant it. They knew that it couldn't happen in their lifetime. And right now, you guys are sitting in America. There is a state of Israel. The Bible is coming alive. The Lord inviting every one of you to come. But you know what? That's your choice. You'll need to do the step. If you won't do the step, He won't provide. To sit all day long in front of the TV thinking to yourself that that's going to improve your life. No. The Lord wants you to do something. Remember the story from the trip last year? I'm not sure if I told it to you or not. But there is a person that dying to win the lottery. He was a religious Jew. And this guy actually praying to the Lord every day. Lord, come on, give me a break. Let me win the lottery once of my life, and I promise to give 20% of it to Guy. That's me. For 50 years, the same rabbi praying to God, nothing happens. 50 years later, one of the angels couldn't take it anymore. Every day a letter from the same dude. Come on, that's enough. So he went to the Lord. Lord, come on, give him a break. Have him win the lottery at least once in his life. So the Lord said to him, you know what, no problem. But first of all, you need to buy a ticket. And that's exactly us. Because the Lord wants to provide. Seriously, He wants you to come. He wants you to be a successful person. But if you won't do the step, nothing's going to happen. If you won't take the book, nothing's going to happen. It's not a secret. That's the world. And that's what exactly we did over here. That's Caesarea Philippi. A great place. Just to sit over there and ask yourself, so I am saying that Jesus is. Because that's what Jesus wanted to know from the disciples over there. Who those people saying that I am? From there, and we'll drive to the Golan Heights. This is the view from Mount Bental. Actually, although it's the end of the winter, I'm not sure if you guys can see in the back over there where it's not green anymore, it's not Israel anymore. It's already Syria. If you'll take a satellite picture of the Middle East, what's green, it's Israel. What's above the border, and I'm not sure why, it's their land, Arab countries all around us. You guys just do me a favor. When I'm saying Arabs, they're good people. 90% of the Arabs that I know of are good people. Some of them Jews, some of them Christians, some of them Muslims. There is nothing bad with the Arabs. Seriously. There is something really bad with extreme Islam. But there is also nothing bad with Muslims. The problem is with their religion. When it's taken over their mind, then they'll do crazy things. So do me a favor, like when you're watching the media, don't hate those people. The opposite. I'm trying to love them as much as I can. Not as much as they love me, but, So that's the view from the Golan Heights. And back there, the white spots, those are Syrian cities. I was near the city back there. I was near the border a week and a half ago. And the best thing that happened to the Syrians since the same conflict with America and everything is that nothing happens over there. Like Assad is really careful, other side is really careful, and for the first time in a year and a half, those people are having some peace and quiet. Usually, in the past year, standing over there from a far distance with a binocular, because Damascus is not so far away from there. It's only 40 miles away. So with a good binocular, you could see the smoke from Damascus. It was really quiet on the Israeli side, and now everything is quiet. So in some way, I'm happy for them. Just sorry that it took the world a year and a half to wake up and help those poor Syrians that are suffering a lot. This is the Sea of Galilee. To the left, this place is gathering, where the swine, the pigs ran and jumped from the cliff into the water, the only cliff around the Sea of Galilee, so it must be the place. If we're speaking about the Sea of Galilee, I have no pictures, but sailing on the Sea of Galilee, I'm pretty sure that was a reviving experience for those of you that came. Peter was asking the Lord to save me, Lord. And just to stand over there, listen to the music, take a moment for yourself. Save me, Lord, come on, save me. It's amazing. Am I right? The two pastors kind of, it's amazing. I wish you guys could be there and see it yourself. Okay, from the north, we're driving to Jerusalem. That's the city of Jerusalem. As far as I know, the Lord, the Messiah, is supposed to come back to the Mount of Olives. It won't be Washington, D.C., maybe later on. It won't be London. It won't be all of those places. First of all, his feet can touch the Mount of Olives. And that's exactly the place. We stood over there, the Temple Mount up there, the Golden Dome. According to some people, we won't argue right now. We're saying that if there is two Jews, three opinions. So if there is one Jew, two opinions. So I won't argue with myself right now. But the location of the temple was probably where the Dome of the Rock is. But when Jesus came to Jerusalem in different times of his life, stood over there, that's give and take the view that he could see with some different buildings. So that's the view, the city of Jerusalem. That's a picture from the Jewish quarter down to the Temple Mount, the gold in the center. That's the Western Wall. Okay, that's the Wailing Wall, the holiest place to the Jewish world. So that's down there. Again, Jerusalem, it's kind of it's a neat city, a very nice atmosphere. Your trip won't be at winter time, but it's going to be really cold in Jerusalem. It's going to be really like snow and everything. But no worries, some pedestrian streets for you to shop, support the Israeli economy. From there, Dead Sea, that's Masada, and that's the Dead Sea. Everyone floats in the Dead Sea, okay? Nothing to do to wait, so everyone is more than welcome to enjoy the Dead Sea. Actually, it's a sea of death, but this sea producing so many good things to the world. All of those Dead Sea products, reviving people with skin problems, reviving to the Dead Sea, and that's the only thing that helps them, and that's free of charge for everyone. And the story of the Dead Sea, it's also like amazing story. How exactly the Dead Sea formed, but different time. I'll come again, like En Gedi, where David hid from Saul. So that's the place. I'm not sure if this is the exact place, but the Bible speaks about En Gedi, and it's somewhere around, and that's the Gedi, because Ein, it's a fresh water spring, and Gedi in Hebrew, it's the mountain goat. So the place with the mountain goats. That's the translation of En Gedi in English. Farms in the desert. Something that you can see a lot in Israel, especially driving from the north through the Samaritan desert to Jerusalem. It's like orchards everywhere, and that's the desert all around you. And the Bible says that we'll see pools in the wilderness, and in the desert we'll see cypress tree and pine tree. To my opinion, someone did a mistake, because cypress are maybe native to the land of Israel, but not pine. Pine cannot grow in a desert. You need to have lots of rainfall to grow pine. And when the first Jews came back to this land, Isaiah 41 speaks about that, but let's go back to Isaiah 35. Let's see if I placed it. Yeah, I placed it. The wasted land shall be glad for them. So, and the desert going to rejoice blossom like a rose, and so on. You guys, let me show you some pictures. That's the Arava Valley. Arava Valley, it's like the same latitude of Temecula. But I'm not sure what's the average rainfall over here. In the Arava Valley, it's about 5 inches of rain a year. But still, they're growing vegetables, especially vegetables, actually. So I won't say fruit. You guys heard about Beersheba, the desert of Beersheba? That's the eve of Passover. And they're about, like a week later, they're about to harvest the wheat. And it's a huge area, it's a huge desert with endless fields of wheat. Like farming in the desert. Let's go to the pine trees. That's an excellent picture. You guys, this is a desert. We planted since 1906 more than 230 million pine trees. I'm not sure why they chose pines. No one read the Bible back then. The fathers of the land of Israel were completely secular people. They believed in the Bible as history, but they didn't believe in God. That's the truth. So how exactly they came to the land of Israel? What's happened is the religious Jews, the black haters, were blind. They couldn't see the call. And until today they claim that we're not supposed to be a state of Israel. For them, Zionism is bad. We're not supposed to be there. And somehow, the fathers of this country, Israel, departed themselves from their ancestors, wanted to find a new way, and they took a new way, went to Israel against the will of their parents, disconnecting any connection with their parents, just for them to build a future state. So to my opinion, the Lord used them to come. They missed it. They went to the wrong direction. David Ben-Gurion, the Prime Minister of Israel, was a completely secular person. He had a collection of 25,000 books in his house, read all of them. That's what he's claiming. And near his bed, he had Bible. Every night before going to sleep, he read a chapter. And if that's a secular person, I can live with that. You know, the Bible was part of his life. Lots of date palms. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the Bible speaks about the land of milk and honey. So milk, it's milk, but that's the honey. Date honey. Okay? It was a very common product back then. More forest, and more forest, and more forest. That's the back of my house. The field over there. With forest, and that's really the end of the winter. Poppy, flowers, it's beautiful. What's going on over here? Okay. She's going to take over one day, because that's my daughter. Actually, it's quite interesting. I'm not sure if that's the time to tell the story, but my wife, she's French. A Jewish French woman. Her grandfather came from Yemen to France. Yemenite Jew that came to France. Like he took the wrong map, or probably instead of Israel, went to the wrong direction. Her grandmother, from her mother's side, came from Turkey. Another grandfather came from Germany. Another grandfather came from France. And grandmother, came from France. And they all ended up together. She is the first generation of my side in the family that having brown eyes. Actually, when my wife gave birth, I went to check what's my neighbor color eyes, because it couldn't be. But we look the same, so it's all good. But my point is, she's fulfilling the prophecy. West, east, south, and north. Because she is the first Canaanite in my family. And it's like I'm looking at her, I'm seeing the Bible coming alive. And she's a great kid. She's very smart. One last thing. Exactly. Yeah. Those are parts of the country that we want to get to, but that's the desert of Zin. Not so far away from there, Hermon gave his life and died. That's Tel Arad. We won't make it this time, but maybe in the future, in Arad there is a replica of Holy of Holies and altar. What's happened is at the time of Josiah gave an order to shut down those places. And the people of Arad were too scared to deal with the gods. So they said to themselves, you know what? Let's cover the altar and the Holy of Holies. And they just covered it with dirt. We dug the site over there and we saw an altar from the time of the first kingdom, first temple time, and a Holy of Holies in the same measurement. So it's teaching us a lot how exactly it looks like. Down there you can see the green fields. I'm not sure who's drinking wine and who's not. It's very common in Israel. But the most important connoisseur in the world, wine taster in the world, published a list 3 years ago of the best wines of the world. 14 of them came from Israel. The best one from Israel came from this desert. It's called Yatir. So the vineyards also came back to the desert. And I wish you guys going to come to Israel, because Jeremiah 31 says that in Hebrew it's called, they'll say, Anotzrim odishtelu kramim be'arei Ephraim. And in English it is, the watchmen shall plant vines in the mountains of, never mind. But Notzrim in Hebrew, it's the Christians. So there is a day where the Christians will plant vines in the mountains of Israel. And I wish you guys would come just to fulfill this prophecy to plant vine over there. Actually, in some way, you are the guardians of Israel in your prayers and when you come in, and the Lord uses you to protect Israel. America is the closest friend of the state of Israel. I'm not saying that we wouldn't exist without you, because there is a great power behind us, and that's the Lord. And that's why we're there in this sea of hate. But still, it's good to have good friends. And all together, we'll bring back the Messiah. That's a day before harvest near my house. And we have to end with the lamb. Now, you guys, this is it. Hopefully, it was kind of helping a little bit to understand what's happening over there. I would love to take questions about the politics, about Israel, what's going on. But first of all, I want to invite a good friend to the stage over here next to me, Pastor Barry. Yeah, because he can help as well. Yeah, came before. What happened to your back?
I'm just old.
Yeah.
Thanks, guy. Well, a couple of things before we take some questions, and I do want you guys to think about any questions you may have and ask them. But there are a few points that I'd like to make. And my first trip to Israel was in 1988, and I was on the aircraft carrier USS Eisenhower. We pulled into the port of Haifa, and I was captain of the soccer team then, and got to play soccer with some Israelis, and literally in a cow pasture. And all of our feet got a little dirty that day, but it was fun. Got to see a little bit. I was able to take a day, go down to Jerusalem, take what they call a Sharut taxi in those days up to Jerusalem, come back, and we sailed away, and I vowed one day I'm going to come back and see this country right. And in 1999, my last year at the power plant, I was able to take 45 days and go to Israel and rented a house, rented a car, and just saw the whole country. And now going back and leading tours, consecutive tours, I have to tell you this about Israel. I've never known a country that improves itself more and more rapidly than Israel. The changes that I've seen since 1988 actually boggle my mind, and it speaks to the connection that the Jewish people have to the land. Secondly, it is such a friendly place for Christian tourism. And the Israelis, they take such good care of the holy places, and they make sure that everyone is welcome, and the money and the time and the effort and the love that they put into the facilities so that we are welcome is unlike anything you'll ever see anywhere in the world. It is truly amazing. And then third, that feeds on itself, because one of the things I've heard from some Israeli Jews is this, that they've come to realize in many ways that they have no better friends in this world than the evangelical Christian, because of our tremendous love for them, our tremendous love for the scriptures, and our tremendous love for the land. And it builds a natural friendship between us. And when all other people leave them hanging, and the rest of the Jews in the world often leave Israel hanging, but the Bible-believing Christians always seem to want to have their back, to pray for them, to support them, and stand up for them. And why am I saying that? Because the end result is that really touches the Israeli, and it really touches the Jew to have true friends in a world where true friends are hard to come by for them. And that true friendship is such a thing of love that it has led many of the Jews to believe in Jesus as their Messiah. And that's a beautiful thing. And so all of that said, with one final point for me, is that if you can get to Israel, go. By all means go. You will not be sorry. The Bible will never be the same to you. It will be rich. It will be richer, deeper, more alive. As Guy said, alive in 5 dimensions. And it's quite beautiful. So all of that being said, we are going again in late April of 2014. If any of you would like to join, it's not too late to sign on and join us over there. Guy's going to be our guide again, and we'll have a great time. We're going to throw in a few surprises this year, but we're going to have a great time. And Guy, anything else you want to add, and any questions you guys may have?
No. I'm open to questions. Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
I wonder if you could speak a little bit about your conversion to Christianity, and how did that impact your family life, your friends, and that sort of thing?
So, I'm a Jew, okay? Born a Jew, lived my life a Jew, and I'll die like a Jew. Probably same like Jesus, lived his life. But through people like you, I got to know Jesus and his message. And I made him to be my rabbi. Because it's a message of love. And come closer to God. And get to know yourself better. So that's what happened to me. It's not so simple to say in Israel, like I made Jesus to be my rabbi. Because people don't like to hear it. And why is that? Don't forget, in the past 2,000 years, not people like you, but other Christians used his name to run after the Jews. So when a Jew hears Jesus, in other words, good, troubles are coming. So the Israelis, or the Jews, are not so ready to hear the name Jesus. It's a process that's taking place right now. And there is more and more Messianic communities in the country. And there is, like before coming to the United States in the past 6 months, I wanted to understand when exactly Jesus began his ministry. I know it's not so important, but I'm an archaeologist. It's kind of important to me. And I wanted to know the year. And I sat with a friend, a rabbi. And the guy, for the first time in his life, looked at the New Testament. Because it's not allowed in Judaism. So things are changing step by step. We're speaking about the land. So although the Lord gave the land to the Jewish nation, but the Lord also says that many nations would come to the land to worship him over there. So in some way I'm guarding the land for you guys. And in those days, more and more people coming to the land to fulfill it. And people are much more open to hear about Jesus, about Christianity, and so on. But I'm a Jew, like